Okay, there we go. Hey, you guys, welcome. Happy Monday. If you can just leave a comment in the comment section, just your name and where you're from, that would be awesome. And then we will get started. Pennsylvania, awesome. Hi, you guys. So my name is Kristen. I am a second grade teacher here in California. I also blog over at Easy Teaching Tools, and I come to you weekly just to talk about some different organization tips that you can use in your classroom. And so one that I'm really passionate about is, in my class we call it literacy workshops. Some people call it literacy centers or literacy rotations, but it's one that I feel like I really have got down. I feel really confident about how I manage them and how I organize them, and so I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about that today. So I'm wondering, in your class, what do you struggle with as far as literacy rotations? Is it time management? Is it where to turn everything in? Is it making sure students stay on task? What to do with your early finishers? Let me know, and then I would love to answer some of your questions at the end as we go along. I never stop talking. Okay, accountability. Yeah, we'll talk about accountability, storage, switching out activities, making sure it's meaningful, time management, all of that. Great. So you guys are in the right spot. So how I set up literacy centers is a little bit different maybe than most. I've done it in the past where I set a timer and the kids rotate every 15 or 20 minutes, and it drove me crazy. I felt like we are losing a lot of time in between rotations, and it just felt very, very stressful. And so what I've done is I set up these little boxes. So I don't know if you could see, they're from Really Good Stuff. And I label my tables. We have 5 table groups, and so I label them by the vowels. So here's the box for table A. Here's the box for table E. And then I've got some over here for table I, table O, and table U. And so how it works in our class is that each group is, they're heterogeneous. So they're all sorts of different levels at their table centers. And so when it's time to start literacy workshop, whoever their leader is, so make sure, give them a leader. Have someone be in charge of getting your materials and teach them how to get the materials, how to put the materials back. Set your expectations so then you don't have to worry about that as centers are going. And so what they'll do is they'll grab a box and then they'll take it back to their seat, and this is what they're working on for the entire 60 minutes. We have a 60-minute block, and so during that time, I like that students they work at their own pace and get done what they can, because while they're working, I'm pulling groups for guided reading, and then we're lucky enough to have parent volunteers, so I have a parent come in and they're pulling groups as well. So there's a lot of movement going on, and so that way I don't need to worry like you only have 15 minutes, get it done, and then move on. It kind of eliminates some of that stress, and it's differentiated in a way that they're kind of working to their own ability. And so now you're probably wondering, okay, great, so you've got your materials, what do you include? And so if you can let me know in the comments section, what do you include in your centers, and what sort of work are you guys doing? Ashlyn, I'll definitely be talking about checking off work and accountability and all of that. Okay, so what I do, I believe in a balanced literacy approach, and so in each center I try to have some sort of word work, some sort of comprehension, something with sight words and whatever we're doing for grammar for that week, and then some sort of reading or listening center. So just to show you kind of what we're doing this week, this is table A. And so today, oh, I'm so sad you're not a fan of centers. I love centers. Centers are my most peaceful time of the day. So I promise if you kind of utilize some of these, you'll love centers as well. So what I do, I've done it a bazillion ways, and this is what I found works for me. I just have these bright folders. They're from Target. They're kind of sturdy. And so I teach my students to grab what is in there. When we started off with centers, we only did it for 20 minutes because I wanted to go over the routines, and you want to set your expectations and all of that from the beginning. And so they only had one activity, and that was that, just to get them used to it. And then as my students were able to do more, and I could tell that they, understood how things are working, I added some more activities. So, for instance, Table A, they've got like a comprehension passage. This is from my friend Vicki. It's great, just it's not simple reading, but it's just making sure that they're understanding. And then on the back is just sentence practice. And we use a lot of the same types of activities month after month, and the purpose of doing that is then you're not having to like reteach, like here's what you have to do, and going over all that. They kind of know what to do. And so I get a lot of my centers from Katie King. She's it's called The Busy Teacher's Best Friends, and it really is. It makes me look like I really know what I'm doing, and my kids love it because they're engaging. And it includes a bunch of different like reading handouts and different skill handouts and stuff that we're already working on in class. So then I don't have to change it out as much, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like the same activities. So anyways, so today was Monday. Table A worked on everything from here. And so, hi Sheila. Some of you are wondering, well, what do you do if they're not finished? For my kids who aren't finished, we have, I'll grab one off their desk, a clipboard. And so this is where all their unfinished work goes. I've done it where they put folders in their desks. I've had them turn it into me, and it was too crazy. This works well. So have your students, for anything, just put their unfinished work on the clipboard, and then I have them leave it on their desk. I don't love it because the kind of type A part in me wants everything put away, but this way it's a good visual for them to know that, oh, I still have this to work on. And so when my students are done with everything for that day, they know to work with anything that's on their clipboard. And I have to train them, and I still have to remind them, but it's always there for them. And someone just asked, is it always like worksheet type of activities? No, we don't always just do worksheets. I don't love worksheets, but sometimes they need it just to reinforce what's going on. So for instance, that was Table A. Table E, we're working on compound sentences this week, and so there's a center game. Here, I like to have lots of different activities where they're having to work together, whether it be like different scoop games, or last week we were working on text features, and where they're having to manipulate things. It's very engaging for them rather than just a worksheet, and so it's just a compound sentence game where they have to put them together, add the conjunction. And then I don't have an answer key, so what I suggest for some of these is I have my students use, if you have an iPad or an iPhone, whoever my table leader is, they are in charge of taking a picture of their finished work for their whole team. And so while I'm at guided reading, instead of interrupting me, they just wait there, and then when I see that they're there and I have a minute, they hand me the iPhone or the iPad so I can check the picture real quick just to make sure that they either have it or don't. That way you're not having to leave your guided reading table, and then they're still being held accountable. And so this is the first week we've done it, taking the picture, and it's fingers crossed first day it went well. So that's one way to check for accountability. Another way, a lot of the centers that I buy, this is Ashley from Schroeder Shenanigans. She has a ton of like grammar scoots, and so my kids love the scoot games that we'll have around the room, and I love those because it involves movement, and I've got my kids trained so they know what to do with the scoot games. Ooh, sorry, lights. So what I did, I created my own answer sheet, and I teach my students that I put them in like a sheet protector, and then they check their work. I trust them that they're being honest, and we go over, making good choices, and that it's, important to do your best and all that good stuff. So, whoops, sorry, I feel like I'm talking really quick. So yes, that's one way to check for accountability. Over here, Table I is working. They're writing sentences based on our spelling words, and I have 4 different spelling groups, so that way it's differentiated. And same thing yeah, they turn their work in, or I have a lot of times where they have to check with 3 people, like, is this my best work? Or have someone check it that way. Thank you, Sheila. I'm so tired and it's so hot. So that way they're held accountable by their peers, and it's not always up to you. I don't do daily 5, but a lot of people who come and observe say it's kind of similar to what I have going on. And then we also, it's definitely not fancy, but this just lets my next group, Table O, know that they're supposed to go to Listening Center. And I have my Listening Center set up. We had a big lice problem last year, so my students bring their headphones. Let's see if someone has them in here. So they know when they go to Listening Center, they take their headphones and they go plug it in and they listen to their story. And then we use AR at our school. So I leave a little note, AR quiz on iPad or Chromebook. We don't have a spelling program. We actually don't have any adopted curriculum. Our district made it. As far as spelling, though, I kind of use my own thing. I use Word Study. Gosh, who wrote it? I think it's Words Their Way by Kathy Gansky. And so we do it that way so it's leveled and it's more meaningful. And then Table U, they do technology. They go on the computer and they work on a program we use called Lexia. Yeah, AR does work on the iPads. There's also an app. I download the AR, like the Renaissance website, and save it as, gosh, what is it called? I save it to the home screen of whatever device they're using so they can just click on it. As far as changing these out, I do change them out weekly, but it's not, I promise you, it's not a lot of work. Some of like the games and whatnot, I will leave. I've got, I'll use like a lot of the games that they used in a center. I'll save it as one of like their may-do centers at the end. And so I kind of throw all of those together. One thing that I do as far as, as far as changing them out, what I do for my centers, I use like a little file folder. I think it's Target or IKEA. And I put, so this is September, I put all of our centers in here. So like here's working on main ideas, facts and opinions, and then that way it's organized for you to use it next year. And then one kind of like key thing I want to show you, I feel like I'm rushing, I only have a few more minutes. So what to do after they turn in their work. That used to drive me crazy. You'd always have students who are like, I'm done, now what do I do? I don't know, let me know in the comments. Is that a pet peeve or something that you deal with in your class? What to do with your early finishers? I am kind of the mindset is that you shouldn't give your early finishers extra work or busy work or just worksheets or things to do. It should be meaningful. I know I used to be like, well, just go read a book or go do something, but I wanted it to be, I just want it to be a little more meaty. And so what I have, I'm going to turn you guys around. Whoops. Okay. I use these little containers. They're just little Sterilite bins, and I put just different activities in here. So this, my kids say this is the old school way to listen to things, but I'll have like a portable listening center that the kids really love because it's their own, and I have it all set up and ready to go. Since it's still beginning of the year, we're still kind of working on rhymes, and so in here there's a bunch of different puzzles with rhyming pieces. One game my kids love, it's called Wordworms, and so this is like a 4-letter word, so they have to come up with a word like tree. And so they'll write T-R-E-E, and then their partner can only change one letter and write a new word. And they keep going till they get to the bottom. It's a fun game. It takes 0 prep. I feel like a lot of these extra May-Do centers are 0 prep. It's stuff that the students already have done or know how to do.